Today, we're going to break down one single, absolutely explosive debate that happens in the King's Council. This is one of those moments where the fate of an entire kingdom gets weighed against one man's conscience. And, well, there are no clean hands in a decision like this.
And boom, here we go. The whole thing just erupts with this furious command from King Robert. There is zero ambiguity here, right? This isn't a suggestion. It's a raw, angry order for a political hit, and it just throws gasoline on the fire.
All right, Section 1, a child's shadow. So this whole crisis, it doesn't start with a bang. It starts with a whisper, a piece of news from half a world away. So here's the problem in a nutshell. Daenerys Targaryen, she's the last real heir of the dynasty that Robert violently overthrew. And now she's pregnant. If she has a son, that boy immediately becomes a rival for the throne. And he'd be backed by the Dothraki, an army that has literally never been beaten. Suddenly, this isn't a distant problem anymore. The threat of a massive war feels very, very real.
But right away, one person pushes back, hard. Lord Arya Stark, he's the king's hand, his best friend. He refuses to see this as a political move. He just sees a pregnant 14-year-old girl. For Ned, this isn't about strategy. It's about a very clear line between what's honorable and what is just plain murder.
So let's move on to Section 2, the argument for murder. Because Ned might have his principles, but he's about to get hit with an overwhelming case for some pretty ruthless pragmatism.
First up, you've got the king's own brother, Renly. And his argument is actually pretty simple. He thinks this whole mess is their own fault. He's basically saying, we had the chance to end this threat years ago, but we showed mercy. And that mercy, that was a mistake we're paying for right now.
Then Grand Maester Pycelle chimes in with this colder, more calculated argument. You've probably heard this kind of logic before. Sacrifice one to save many. He actually tries to frame this assassination not as a cruel act, but as a kinder choice to prevent a massive civil war. It's just grim political math.
And then you have Lord Pater Baelish, Littlefinger. He doesn't even bother with the moral argument. He just calls it a steel kiss. This chilling little phrase says it all, right? It shows a complete and total detachment from the horror of what they're talking about. To him, it's just a dirty job that needs doing.
Okay, so let's get into Section 3, the argument for mercy. You've got all these voices pushing for murder. So how in the world does Ned Stark even begin to argue against this tide of cold logic? Well, he builds his case on principle.
This right here, this is Ned's masterstroke. He completely reframes the debate. He reminds Robert that the rebellion wasn't just about taking power. It was supposed to be a crusade against a tyrant, the Mad King Aerys, who is infamous for his cruelty. Ned's point is, if we now start murdering children to keep the peace, aren't we just becoming the very monsters we fought to destroy?
And the whole conflict really just boils down to this, doesn't it? A fundamental clash of worldviews. On one hand, you have Ned's principle-based argument. Certain things, like killing a kid, are just wrong, period, no matter the outcome. And on the other hand, you have the Council's cold pragmatism. You do whatever it takes, no matter how ugly, for what you believe is the greater good.
And just when it looks like Ned is completely alone, he gets an ally. Sir Barristan Selmy, this legendary knight, speaks up. And his argument isn't about politics or philosophy. It comes from a warrior's code. Fighting your enemies face to face is honorable. Assassinating an unborn child? That's the work of a coward.
All right, on to Section 4. A hand resigns. The arguments have all been made, everyone's had their say, and now the debate is about to hit its breaking point.
And the result is, well, it's pretty stark. 4 votes for the assassination, only 2 against. The voices calling for mercy are completely outnumbered. The decision is made. The order is going to be given.
Robert just loses it and delivers this furious ultimatum. This is not a debate among friends anymore. This is a king giving a direct order to his subject. Obey me, or I'll find someone who will. There's no room to argue, no middle ground.
And Ned's response, it's quiet, but it's incredibly powerful. He unfastens the badge of his office, that heavy silver hand, and just places it on the table. He says, I will not be part of murder, and he walks out. In that one moment, he gives up his power, his influence, and his friendship with the king, all for one single principle.
So we move to Section 5, the cost of honor. Ned has made his stand, absolutely, but that one act of defiance, it leaves him dangerously exposed. See, just walking away isn't that simple.
Ned is tangled up in this huge web of secrets and lies in the capital. He's figured out his predecessor was murdered, and he's this close to finding out why. If he leaves now, he's abandoning that whole investigation, and he's stuck with all these dangerous truths he's dug up.
And this is all the unfinished business he's leaving behind. The truth about his mentor's death, the fact that the kingdom is broke, the mystery of who tried to kill his own son, all these critical threads, he's just going to have to drop them. The cost of his honor, you could argue, is letting traitors get away with it.
And now for Section 6, a mocking smile. Just as Ned is getting ready to leave, one final challenge to his idea of honor arrives, and it comes in the form of the ultimate cynic.
Littlefinger comes to him and makes this stunning, twisted claim. He says that after Ned left, he convinced the council not to hire the best assassins. Instead, they'll just offer a reward to any amateur who can get the job done. His argument is that this clumsy public approach is more likely to fail, which actually protects Daenerys more than Ned's big, honorable, but ultimately useless gesture.
And this is Littlefinger's final damning judgment on Ned Stark. He sees him as a noble fool, a man playing by a strict code of honor in a game that has absolutely no rules. He's doing this beautiful, righteous dance on a foundation that's about to crack and swallow him whole.
And that really just leaves us with the central question of this whole affair, doesn't it? When you're faced with doing something vile for the so-called greater good, is taking a principled stand a noble act, or is it just a dangerous luxury you can't afford? In a world of cold calculation and brutal survival, what is honor really worth?